So, in today's episode, a lot of people have been asking me, Shashank, now the market is so volatile. We don't know what to do, which sectors to look at, how to invest, how to plan, how to strategize. So, I thought I'll make a very quick video on two types of investors. One is a risky investor who has a higher risk appetite, less liabilities on himself, and maybe they're also young in age. Then I will also show you some sectors that are really good for a safe type of investor. So two things: one is risky investor, one is safe investor. We will go through both of that in today's video. So hopefully you guys like it, and if you have any more safe companies that you feel are there, which is a superb opportunity today because the market has fallen so much, so it is a great opportunity. So let me quickly go through this entire video, and there'll be a lot of sectors that we'll discuss. So let's begin. Now, before we move ahead with the video, I want to quickly show you some news. This 38-year-old AI prompt engineer basically made over $100,000 a year. Now, companies are replacing outdated skills with AI at an alarming rate, and people are unable to keep up with AI even after paying 1 to 2 lakhs for courses but still struggling to get results. Now, the world is moving fast, and high paying jobs today aren't just traditional roles because they're AI powered roles that almost anyone can step into. Whether it's AI in Excel and data analysis, who make 38 lakhs a year, AI in personal branding, AI in business strategy, 40 lakhs a year, AI in content creation for 20 lakhs a year, and even prompt engineering that goes up to 50 lakhs a year. But what if you could learn all of these high income skills in AI in just 180 minutes of your life for completely free? Now, this AI crash course, which usually costs around 15,000 rupees, is completely free for my audience. Now, the link is in the description and the pinned comments below, and it also teaches all the high demanding skills like data analysis, personal branding, content creation, business strategies, and even resume building. Now, for people who want to upgrade themselves with AI, who are in the top 5% but are not aware and staying behind the market, I think this is one of the best things for all of you guys. Now, it's never too late to join this training session. It's just a matter of 180 minutes, and you have more than 2 million people who have gone through this training before as well. So, the link is in the description, absolutely free for you guys. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, this is how our stock market looks like from the last 1 month perspective. Now, this is just 1 month perspective. If I actually go back and do a 3 month timeline, you will see that the 3 month pain is quite drastic because from September 2024 we have been on just a massive downturn, right? If you look at 6 months, it is going to be even more difficult to look at this chart. Now, if I actually show you how Nifty looks like, as you can see from this point over here, we have been just going down continuously. We did have a relief rally. This entire thing was called as the relief rally, but then it again went back down. So you should also understand that every dip is also an opportunity to buy. That is how I look at it, provided you are a long term investor. If you are a short term guy looking for options trading, futures, looking at quick returns on swing trading, then this video is not for you, right? This is only for people who are thinking about long term, because the only way you can actually build significant amount of wealth is if you start focusing on a long term horizon. Now, I also understand that, as I showed you this, right, there are so many companies that you can see here that are either in green, either in red, and you have no idea how to choose what to buy, what to sell, which sectors are good, which sectors are bad, because everything looks bad at this point because the market has fallen so much. So what we're going to do today is we're going to classify this into two different spheres, right? One is called a smart investor who's also a long-term investor, right? I'm assuming both are smart investors and long-term investors, but one I'm going to take it into a risky basket and one I'm going to take into a safe basket. So first, let's look at what is a safe basket or safe sectors. Now, you have to also understand here that most of the large caps have fallen quite drastically in the last 6 months. Now, please understand, none of this is a buy or sell recommendation. Whatever I'm showing you, I am not SEBI registered. It's a big disclaimer from my end. I'm only showing you companies that I feel are very interesting, very diversified, very strong when it comes to the charts, and also very strong when it comes to a holistic approach, right? Again, I'm not telling you to buy this. So if you are planning to buy it, you have to do your own research analysis. There is no Telegram group, WhatsApp, or a what do you call that, buy target, nothing, right? So I'm just going to talk about interesting companies in the space that are quite safe and interesting companies in the space that are quite risky at this point. Depending on your risk appetite, you take a call. Let's go. Sector number one. Now think about this. We are in such a bad situation, right? The market has gone down. India is great, but US is in a bad situation, and because of US being in a bad situation, India is taking a heat on this. Now please understand, this is not going to be a permanent heat, and I've been saying this from a very long period of time. If you even look at the numbers and stats and don't get absorbed with the noise that is in the market, you will see that the entire tariff war with India is a very small amount of our GDP. India is a consumption focused country. It is not a very big export focused country. Yes, we do have IT services, which is one of our biggest exports in our country. But as you know, in the last 4 to 8 years, we have seen manufacturing kicking in very well as our part of our whole GDP. And if IT services go down, we should start manufacturing more. And that is exactly what's happening with a lot of companies now, saying that because China is in a big problem with Trump, we will come to India and start outsourcing from India. So that is great. So if India takes this opportunity, it will be great. But if you look at India, we have started doing the OMO injections. We are going to announce rate cuts. Our inflation is okay, no problem with that as well. Our 1 lakh per month or 12 lakhs a year tax bracket change has also kicked in right now. So I believe now that we will start going in a very beautiful upward momentum. It is not going to be instant, immediate. It is going to take time. Okay. But if it is going to take time, it is even better for me, because think about it. If you are going to a shop and you want to buy something, you want to buy it at a lowest rate, right? Same way, I'm looking for a discount and I've got a discount in the market. So I'm looking at companies at a discounted rate. Now, coming to good sectors, the best sector I feel, which will also be the first sector to rebound, is I feel NBFCs or financial services, right? Financial services has to be the first sector that goes up, mainly because when RBI starts doing a lot of injections and they want to boost liquidity into the system, it will come via loans. When the rate cut happens, the loans will go down, becomes cheaper for all of us to go and take volume loans at that point, right? Now, what are the two companies I believe are very good right now and have also taken a slight dip? The first company I would say is Bajaj Finance, or Bajfin as they call it. Now, Bajaj Finance is a company that has come down quite drastically. It for 3 years it never moved. It has been a long-term compounder. If I show you the 10-year graph, you will see that it has always been a long-term compounder. But from 2021 to 2025, it actually did not move. But in the same time period from 21 to 2025, the revenue has gone up 3x and even the profits have gone up approximately 4x. It's gone up 3x from its previous base, but 4x from 2021. Either which way, it has gone up quite drastically. And you can see 87 EPS has also gone up to around 258. That means significant equity dilution has not happened like how other NBFCs do it. So this company looks very good. And even now, when they came out with their updates was quite good and they were growing at 20%. I believe that this is a very beautiful, pretty decent long-term compounder company, and this is something that should do really well. Again, please do your own research before investing. The second company I think is good at this market is ICICI Bank. Again, very diversified, very good in the way they're running the operations from the last few years, right? After their whole mess that they had created a long time ago, now this company has consolidated really good, but this company has been growing quite drastically, right? And as you can see, it has been on a very good growth path. And in the last 1 year, you can see that it is currently in this range from 1338 to 1204. It is in this range. And if I look at the price to book ratio of this, it is currently sitting at the median price to book, right? Even if I look at it from the 10-year time frame, it looks slightly overvalued, but this is a very diversified long-term pick that you can take for a higher time frame. Like this is approximately 5 years, 10 years type of time frame. This looks like a very good diversified pick. Again, this is not for swing trade, not for short-term trading, nothing. Please don't look at it from that perspective. A third company, slightly controversial, I'll talk about 3 and 4, right? Telecommunications. Now, telecommunications, if you really think about it, there are two companies in the space. One is Bharti Airtel, and the other one is actually Reliance Industries. Now, why do I say it is slightly weird and slightly controversial? Because I feel that there is a very weird anomaly happening between these two companies. Now, why do I feel that's the case? If you look at Bharti Airtel, they are currently sitting at a 10 lakh crore market cap. Okay, 10 lakh crore market cap. Quite interesting. Their free cash flows are around 38,000 crores last year, and last 5 years, their free cash flows around 1,25,000 crores. This is mainly because they had already front loaded the debt over a long period of time to build the infrastructure. Now their infrastructure is good. The only cost will be spectrum and other charges, and that is why you see that in the last 5 years it has grown, but over a longer time frame it has given pain to investors. But now, since all the infrastructure has been front loaded, now it is time to make profits. So whenever they want extra profits, they just increase the tariff rate and they make money. Now my problem here is, first of all, I'll show you two things, right? One is Bharti Airtel, 51p, 10 lakh 31,000, and I'm assuming this is a pure play telecom player. Now if you look at the next biggest company in India, which is Reliance is sitting at 15 lakh. Okay, almost 16 lakh. Now imagine this. You're telling me that Airtel is sitting at 10 and Reliance is sitting at 16 lakh. The difference is only 6 lakh crore. That means if I even calculate Geo, which is Reliance Industries Geo, right? I'm sure they have a good amount of premium or a stake rivaling Bharti Airtel. Maybe not the same amount of free cash flows, but they're pretty much similar on that front. So even if I take a discounted rate of Geo at 8 billion, 8 lakh crores instead of 10 lakh crores like Bharti Airtel, and giving it a discount, you're telling me the entire Reliance industry, apart from Geo, is only 8 lakh crores, including Reliance Retail, oil to petroleum business, so many other businesses that they have. So either Reliance is very undervalued or either Bharti Airtel is slightly overvalued. So one of the two seems to be the case. My bet is that Bharti Airtel is slightly overvalued and Reliance definitely is undervalued, because if you look at Reliance, it's come down to 23p, right? And if you look at it from a last 10 years perspective, it has gone down quite a bit. And even if I look at it from the past perspective, it has come down to its median P. So there is definitely an arbitrage play here. And I believe that these are good companies, but this looks slightly better, more from a undervaluation perspective. But yes, Reliance Industries is a big group, so there are other factors that actually push this valuation down, right? And I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but on Twitter I recently put this up as well, literally today, and there are some very interesting comments that are coming here on Twitter as well as to why this is the case, because it is weird, it is an anomaly. Now, coming to the next sector, which I really like in this market, which is beautiful, I would say, is healthcare companies. It is completely away from all this noise of tariff, completely away, right? And if you look at the problem with healthcare companies, there is one problem. If you look at their EV EBITDA, they're all significantly high. Okay, usually in these companies, you look at EV EBITDA, and even if you look at P ratios high automatically, but EV EBITDA is also pretty high, which is enterprise value to EBITDA, right? Now, if you look at all the companies here, there are some really significant players that are good. I can talk about some companies that I really like. I know Max is really good, Apollo is good, but they've gone up, they've run up quite a bit. NH is doing really well only because they've done a recent breakout, right? From a technical standpoint, they've done a breakout, and obviously they've entered into the healthcare space. They've also opened 2 hospitals in Kolkata, so that is looking really good from that perspective. I also like Rainbow is something that I appreciate from a very long period of time. They believe in slow growth over drastic growth. Peaceful growth is what I would call it. And if you look at it, it looks like a very nice, sustainably grower kind of a company. So I like this company as well. Again, this is my personal choice. I don't hold any stake in Rainbow as of now, right? So these are some companies that you should definitely look at. Play it safe. As I said, this is a safe sector, will not have too much volatility as compared to, let's say, another company like, in the pharma space or something like that. If you see Apollo, they have fallen down, but also they have now come back above that 200 and all of that moving average. So this is mainly some of the companies that I would look at definitely from a safe basket or safe player perspective. Now coming to the risky element. Now, if I go back here and I relook at things, right? I have to like zoom out a little bit and relook at things. If I relook at things, I'll be like, okay, Shashank, what are the companies that really got affected because of pharma, mainly exports? I mean, because of the tariff, mainly exports, right? Now, if you ask me right now, pharma is definitely in the fire zone because of the tariffs that are coming, tariffs that will come. There will be some changes there. So pharma is in the fire zone, and I really feel there is one more round of pharma hit that is going to take. What do I mean by one more round of pharma hit? There will be a drop of all pharma companies just on sentiment alone. They might not even export, but the pharma companies will do one round of coming down, right? Next, chemical sector has got really badly affected because most of your chemical companies were also exporting to US, mainly agrochemicals. They have also got affected right now. So two sectors that have got really affected. Number three, if US is having a problem, then our biggest services industry, the IT sector, is going to have a problem. And if you look at the IT sector, they have taken a massive bleed. Obviously, the TCS is sitting at minus 22%, Infis at minus 27%. So I'll show you some of the companies. And the fourth sector, I think, has also taken a massive downturn is the automotive space, because India has got pressure from both EU and US to reduce their custom duty and tariff so that they can come and be at a competitive rate. It's great for consumers like us because now I can go buy a Mercedes at a cheaper rate, but it is bad for our local players. So let's look at some of the companies first in the pharma space. Now, again, pharma space, there are many, many, many companies, right? Pharma is, if you really ask me, is the most complicated sector till date. It is the most complicated sector till date, right? If you look at pharma, there are some companies that have taken a hit. There are some local companies, some export oriented companies. Like Mankind Pharma is a local company, right? Does not really care about what is happening abroad too much, right? But if you see, they have also taken a nice correction. Even if you look at Sun Pharma is also a very good company, taken a nice correction over here, but not too much compared to the other. But if you start going in deeper into companies like Divis Labs and all of that, then you will start finding real attractiveness, right? Again, please understand, this is not a buy or sell. I don't hold any of these companies, so you have to do your own research before investing. Okay, look at Cipla. Even Cipla, which is like a huge long-term compounder, has also taken a small hit over here. Now, these are all opportunities for people who are looking at a very long-term perspective, not for a short-term mix, but a long-term mix, because the pullback rally will happen, eventually has to happen. So when the pullback rally happens, these companies will start doing a pullback very well. Now, coming to the next sector, which is chemical. Chemical, I feel that a lot of companies are there in the space, but the only company I really like right now, look at this chart. Look at this chart. It has a beautiful consolidation and a multi-year breakout has happened. It has also come to retest it, and this company is called SRF. It is one of the best players in the space. It has taken a beautiful time to actually start growing. They have front-loaded a lot of capex. Yes, they do have a lot of exports going out as well, right? But this is a company, as I said, this is a risky company, so you will see a lot of volatility in this company, and that is why I said for people who have a risk appetite which is slightly higher, you can start playing the risky moves as well. But if you don't have that risk appetite and you don't want to think too much, then you, whatever I've spoken about the safety sectors, you can look at that. But these are the sectors that are on risk. Pharma's on risk, chemicals is on risk, next I would say IT is on risk. Whenever there is risk, there is also volatility and there is also opportunity depending on who the person is, right? So if you look at TCS has also taken a beautiful hit and it has come down, right? I feel it will go down even more. It should go down to at least 3,000. But I mean, it's a good hit that TCS has taken. I think more pain than gain is coming in TCS, right? I think it'll take more pain coming forward. Same with Infosys. Infosys is sitting at 21 current P. Forward P will be much lower than that, and you can see Infosys has actually come down quite drastically as well. So I'm enjoying this. I know it's coming down quite a bit. I usually don't own large caps. I own mid caps and small cap because I come under the risky appetite category guy. But I really like this company from, again, it has taken a pain. The pain is going to be more. It is not ended yet, but it will take some time to recover. But that also gives a good opportunity for people who have that kind of mindset. Now, the final company that I'm going to show you is an automotive company, because think about it, there's going to be super competition coming in the auto space, whether it's your Mercedes, whether it's your Audi, whether it's your BMW, whether it's your Teslas coming in, or even BYD, which has slyly entered the entire Indian economy, right? This company will have a problem with this. It's not Tata Motors, it is Mahindra and Mahindra, because Mahindra and Mahindra is actually, technically, if you think about it, almost like a holding company, right? But even though it's a holding company, the majority of its revenues, if you look at the product segments, majority of its revenues come from automotive and farm equipment. Now, farm equipment, it does not have a lot of competition coming in from Mercedes or whatever. It has from Escort, Kubota, and other companies. But if you look at the automotive space, that is what it is really doing well. And if you see the growth rate, you will understand this. It is doing phenomenally well in this space. And all of you know, when you saw B6 and all of that coming out, B6 coming out, you saw Mahindra doing well. And it's more like a consolidated play, right? Now, yes, it has taken a small hit because of the problems that might come in the future. But again, it depends on how much you believe that Indian competition can play a good role and rival the foreign competition as well. And if you look at Tesla, they only have one semi SUV car, whereas Mahindra's SUV cars, honestly, I've driven a Tesla as well. I think Mahindra is much better compared to it. It's not electric, but I think those new cars that are coming out are much better. I own a Mahindra as well, and it's really, really nice, right? But again, opportunity gets created whenever there is volatility in the market. So volatility creates opportunity, and you see it has come down to 2,500, very close to its support as well. And this is going to give us some nice opportunities coming across. Again, I don't believe the pain is over. The pain will only increase. More and more pain will come. It might go on for even a year and a half, because then you will see Mercedes putting the rate down. Then Mahindra will come in that con call and say, you know what, we're losing to XYZ players. All of these things will happen slow, one by one, one step at a time. This will happen. But again, I feel all of this is also an advantage, depending on how you look at things, depending on what your risk appetite is like, depending on how your market is, right? Because I personally believe that this is an opportunity, and this is going to be a beautiful opportunity for a very long period of time. I don't know how you would take this, but for me, this would be a beautiful opportunity as well. And if you want to know more, if you want to get more deep insight about the videos, or even more text, you can join the YouTube community as well. You can check out the link where I put a lot of commentary over here. So yes, these are some basic stuff that you can actually come and have a look at it. Awesome, guys. This is a beautiful video from my end. And please, if you like this, please click on the like button. Very few people click on the like button. I know you like watching the entire video and then you just go away. It feels sad for me. So please click on the like button. Don't have to subscribe also. I don't care about subscribe. Click on the like button. That's enough for me. Awesome. This is me, Shashank Udupa, signing off. Take care, and please do your own research before investing. See you later, guys. Bye bye.